Hello guys, welcome back to our programming series, Programming with C. And in our previous video, we talked about constants and literals. And in this video, we'll be trying examples of constants. So as you can see, I've already opened my text editor, that's Visual Studio Code, as you can see here. And I've already created a file, that's constants.c. And the other files we also created are still here. So if you get lost, you can check our previous videos. You can also start from the top so that you can follow along. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so as I said, we'll be trying examples or learn how to declare constants in C. And the previous video I said that constants are variables or that have values that cannot be altered, that cannot be changed in the code. So whatever value you assign to it as you are declaring it will be the value to be throughout your code. So in this video, the example, I've written some stuff here. Let's go through. Given that pi, that's pi, is equal to 3.142, write a program to calculate the circumference and the area of a circle. Alright, and write a program to convert seconds to minutes and hours. Okay, so these are test cases or use cases that you would definitely use constant. You can also use a dynamic variable like a user variable, but it will be quite appropriate to use a constant in this case. Right. Because pi here is a constant, and 60 seconds make 1 minute, 60 seconds always will make 1 minute. I don't think that will ever change. If it will, I'm not thinking this life. Okay, so let's do something. So there are several ways of declaring a constant, but we'll talk about just two, which quite basic and essential. The other ways don't think will be important, but let's try these two ways. So when you want to create a constant or declare a constant, it's quite similar to declaring a variable. So an identifier and the name of the variable. But in this case, we just add another keyword because your constant can be a string, an integer, or a float. So you have to add a special keyword and then the identifier and then the name of the variable. So the keyword is const, that's constant or const, yes. And then the identifier, in this case float, and the name of the variable. So we'll name it pi, and then give it a value of 3.142. Okay, so we have declared a constant, and this how to declare a constant, as simple as that. And you can't assign any other value to the constant, it will throw back an error. So let's try giving it another value, 67.09. okay, and let me just run this to see. Okay, so as you can see here, a lot of errors here, which I'm not really going to explain. It's simply telling us that it's a constant and you can't change the value in it. So it's assigned. It says assignment of read-only variable pi. Okay, so it's a variable that we set to read only, so you can only read but not write to it. Okay, so as you can see, we've declared the constant. So let's use it in the program as here. Given that pi is 3.142, write a program to calculate the circumference and the area of a circle. Okay, so you are writing a program now calculates the area of a circle and also calculates the circumference of a circle. So the formula for doing that, I think, is for the circumference, that will be c. So 2 pi r squared. So 2 pi r squared. So let's say r times r, something like that. Times r. So something like this. So let's translate this to C code. Okay, so I'll first create a float, call it a circumference. Circumference and area, and what else? And radius. Okay, radius. Alright, so all these will be floats and circumference area. Okay, fine. Alright, so now we are finding the circumference. So circumference then assignment. So 2 times pi times r times r. So let me put this in brackets. And in our subsequent videos, we'll be treating operators. And I'll talk about the bracket, asterisk, the plus, the equal to sign, and other stuff. So when you see anything unusual here, don't be worried. We'll talk about it in the subsequent videos. But the main focus of this video is to know how to declare variables and how to use them in your code. Alright. So 2 times pi times r squared. So r squared is basically r multiplying itself. Okay, so I think it's 2 pi r. 2 pi r. So 2 times pi times r. Yes, that's the formula for the circumference. And the area is area is equal to that is pi r squared. Okay, so pi, then bring the brackets, r squared. Let me put an operation here. Pi times r. Okay, so let me explain this. The circumference 2 pi r squared, and which means 2 times pi times r. Okay, and the pi area is pi r squared, so pi times r. You could do it without a bracket, which is correct, but I will recommend you put them in brackets so that it treat that one as a body on its own before it comes to multiply it with a pi, because in certain cases it might not work as you expect it to. So let's do it the appropriate way. So now we have written our formula. So now let's let me come up here and request for user input. So print f, first enter the radius of the circle. Alright, the new line, terminate. Okay, now accept input. Let me create that variable first. It should be a float. User input. Okay, so percentage Here's the float, and then change this user input. Okay. Alright. So now the radius is the user input. So area is radius. This area. Okay. If you wondered how I selected the two and edited them at the same time, you just select the first one, press Ctrl D. It will select any word that is the same as what you've highlighted. So as you can see, it's highlighted the next one. You press it again, it goes through the code and select the next one until it's all selected. So anytime I make a change, you see that it changes all the ones selected. And let me change it back so you can work with this. It also makes coding easier because sometimes you make a mistake with a variable name and you want to change it across your code, and it's hard to one, find them, two, if you find them and there are many, you though it's the traditional way, but it sometimes takes a lot of time to clean and type and clean and type and clean and type. So this some kind of get around inbuilt function with the text editor, which I really like. I'm sure you also like because it makes coding easier and faster. Okay, so after it accepts the user inputs, we declare the variables here, the circumference, area, and radius, and now we do the calculations here and assign it to the circumference variable. Same applies to the area. So now let's show the answers to the user. So printf yeah, so the circumference of the circle is percentage f space and the area area of the circle is also percentage f because it's also a float. Okay, now first is circumference. Okay. Second is area. Alright. So I guess this should work. Let me run this and see if it generates any error. We'll fix it. Okay, it compiles successfully. Enter 35. Okay, 35. Whoa. Showing us 0. Which, why should this happen? Okay, yes, I get it. We accepted the user input, but we didn't use it in the code. So now, since we have declared radius here, so radius is equal to the user's input. Okay. We could use the radius directly or use the user input directly, but I prefer transferring data from variables to variables in the code. Usually working directly sometimes can affect your code because some users try to inject codes directly when they input, so you can use the transfer variables from one variable to another to filter it so that your program will be less attackable. Let me put it that way. So let me run it again and see. Let me extend this. Let me enter 35 again. Okay, now it says it's working. So 219, that's the circumference of the circle, and 3,848.9, yeah, that's the area of the circle. So turns out that our program is working fine. So let me step down. Maybe go to a new line. Okay, let me step down. Now let's work on the second one. Write a program to convert seconds to minutes and hours. Okay. So I believe 60 seconds make a minute and 60 minutes makes an hour. So to get the number of minutes out of a second, you have to divide the seconds by 60. That will give us the number of minutes out of the seconds. And since 60 again is the amount of minutes that makes an hour, it means you have two more 60s. So multiply the two 60s. That will give us 3,600, I think. And then you divide the seconds by rate to get the hours. Okay, so we are not at this my math class, so I wouldn't emphasize on that. I will just state the necessary figures we need to make this program work. We just want to see how constants work in C, so don't worry about the math. So now let's create two constants. So one will be what do I name this? Const float. No, this should be an integer. See, con init. Come on, con hours. Okay. Now float seconds, comma seconds, minutes, and hours. All right. So now minutes is equal to seconds divided by con minutes, yes. All right. And hours is equal to seconds divided by con hours. Yes. Okay. Alright, so there's also a request for user input for that. Print f, enter seconds to be converted, a new line. Scanf, oh, should I split a float, right? Sorry, percentage f, comma, the ampersand sign, user input. User input. Alright. Now seconds. Go to user input. Alright, so let's run this to see. Say error compiling. Let's see why. Okay, yes, and that brings us back to constants. When you declare constants, you have to assign a value to it directly, because you can never assign a value to it after declaring it. So this was my mistake. Should have declared this 60 seconds, and this should be 3600. 3600. So whenever you declare a variable, you have to assign a value to it. You have to initiate it, because you can't assign any value to it again. So if it has no value, then it has no use in your code. So let's rerun this. Still error. Yes, this should be down here. Sorry. Okay, now it's working. So let me enter different radius. 23. So 144 as the circumference, 1662 as the area. Am I missing something? Yes, I think that's it. Okay, so now the seconds, let me see. 3600 seconds should. Oh yeah. We didn't display the answers to the users. Percentage F minutes. Okay, let me start with the hour. Percentage F hours and percentage F minutes. Come on, so hours minutes. Let's try this one more time. And type 14, right? Okay. And seconds 3600. So we have 1 hours and 60 minutes, which I believe is right. Okay, so I guess that's it. Let me go over the code one more time. Constants. Declaring a constant, you have to start with the const keyword and then the identifier of the variable and then the name of the variable, and then you assign a value to it. As soon as you create a constant, or as soon as you declare a constant, you should initiate it with a variable, a value. If you don't give it a value, then it will generate an error, because the variable has no use, the constant has no use, and you can't assign a value to it later in the code, so the variable you created is useless. And in this code, we created a variable, and we use the variable to find the circumference and the area of a circle, because 3.412 is a constant and we use a constant in this program to make it stable and use it to calculate the following values. Same applies to the time. We use it to find minutes and hours. You can use it in other ways like finding a weight, so find the mass of a body if you have been given the gravity and other stuff. So you can do more with it, not just mathematical stuff but also scientific stuff and basic stuff. You know you can use them. There's another way of declaring variables which I will cover in the next video, so stay tuned. If you do not understand anything, do not hesitate to let me know, comment, or join our community, and I'll give you answers to whatever is bothering you. So have a nice day.